Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another review of Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 2, Episode 8, Mama Gonna Cuss You Out. So the episode starts off with Maurice and Marcel meeting up at a bar, and these are the two brothers, and they're just getting caught up, I guess, on each other's lives and what's been happening with each other. Maurice is busy studying for the bar, so he's basically, indisposed with that. He's holed up in some room at his house studying for the bar that's coming up, and I think in about a week or so. And Marcel has a huge construction deal coming up where he is going to be the main contractor for a 120 unit apartment complex. So that's big, that's major. And he also told his brother that there is a second deal of 150 unit apartment complex. He's also going to be, I think, going to be the contractor for. So this is really big for Marcel and Tisha, and I'm really happy for them because we want to see everybody win. We want to see everybody do well, and I mean it's good to see the people on these shows achieving real success and being very successful in whatever they're doing. So that was good news to hear. And he said that even though he's got these two huge projects coming up, when he told his wife about it, she just really wasn't as excited about it as he was. And, he expected her to be jumping up and down and turning cartwheels because this is huge. But he said that she's more interested and more focused on her podcast than she is on what's going on with their business. So we'll see about that. And Maurice mentioned that he wanted Kimmy to work with their sister, Millie, with Credit One. Credit One seems to be like another business of the Scotts, and like a credit repair business, I'm assuming. And Maurice wants Kimmy to go work with Millie. And Marcel said that might not be a good idea because Credit One is like Millie's thing. That's her baby. And she might not be too keen on someone else moving in. So then we move on to Tisha. She's on the radio show promoting her podcast. She's going to have a live podcast where she's going to have an entire panel of people, which is basically her friends, her married friends, because the whole podcast is going to be about marriage, the ups and downs, in and outs of marriage. And she's going to have Kimmy there with Maurice, and she's going to have Laderick. I don't know who his wife is. So just, a whole bunch of their friends. Mel is not going to be on it because she did not ask Mel to be on it, which I think it would have been a good idea to ask Mel to be on the panel because she's coming from the perspective of, a marriage that was in some serious crisis. And everyone else, it appears, their marriages were going well. So you kind of want a perspective of someone who was going through a struggle and how they got through it. That might be more beneficial to the people listening to your podcast than the people who are like, oh, our marriage is wonderful, our marriage is strong, we have no issues. Because the majority of people who are married are probably going through some type of situation or another. Maybe not necessarily infidelity, but something. And to hear someone talk about how they had an issue and how they overcame it would be very beneficial. But because of personal reasons, she did not want Mel on the panel, but she did invite Mel to the podcast. So then we move on to Mel and Martel, and they're at home having a discussion about, I guess the duties, the duties of husband and wife. Martel is whining again that Mel is spending way too much time on her business projects. She's got the play, she's got the skincare line, she's got all of her, speaking engagements, and he wants her to spend more time at home. Now, she's like, what, I'm doing this for us, so I'm not going to be slowing down. It's just going to get bigger and better for me. And, he talks about how, well, when you came home, you didn't have dinner with you, and I've been at home with the kids all day, so dinner was your responsibility. And she's like, well, why couldn't you make something? There's a stove, you got legs, you got hands, put the baby down and make something for them. And he was like, well, why would I cook? I have a wife to do all the cooking. So evidently Martel is really bothered by something. I don't know if he's bothered by his wife not being home as much, or he's bothered by the fact that he had to break up with his girlfriend and he's brokenhearted and he's trying to deal with that on his own. I don't know what his issue is, but every single time there is a scene with Martel is upset. Martel is grumpy. It's like a kid who needs a nap. And it's like, what's the problem? Your wife is successful and it seems like y'all are doing well, unless y'all aren't doing well. But he's upset with his wife because she's too busy. He doesn't have any friends anymore because they all deserted him, or he deserted them because he's not associated with the Scotts, and he doesn't want to associate with anybody that's associated with the Scotts. So he's just grumpy all around. It's just him and his kids, I guess. So he doesn't want her to do the play, which is called Black Mother's Monologue. When Melody told him what the play was about, or what her role was, and she said that she was going to play a pastor's wife who finds out that her husband has been having an affair with another man, and the affair is leaked out all over the internet, and it's made public. He looks at her like real questionably, like, you're really going to be doing this? And I guess Martell's problem, among his long list of other problems, is that this storyline for the play is just, it hits too close to home. And he's like, so did you choose to do this? Did you seek them out, or did they seek you out? And she said, no, I was approached. And he was like, well, it seems like they were looking for they sought you out because you had gone through it and you want to relive all of this. And she said, well, I'm not reliving all of this. I'm not reliving it. I'm just acting a part in a play. My husband did not cheat on me with another man. So I'm not reliving that. I'm just, playing a role in a play. So, of course, Mel is about that money. She's going to, whenever money is offered to her, she's going to take it regardless. And this is the reason why I think that she's still with Martell. So she finds out that her husband cheats on her last season. And I'm thinking the reason why she stayed was because she was like, could I make more money staying with him and doing this show? Or could I make more money leaving him and, not doing the show? I don't know. But it seems like she found a way to make his infidelity a financial gain for her. So she's all about, building that wealth and making that money. Good or bad, it seems like that's what Mel is about. Then we move on to Kimmy and Kimmy. So Kimmy meets with her sister-in-law, Millie. And when they first sit down, they start talking about Monster and Maurice and Kiowa coming into town. And so I thought, okay, so this is really about two sister-in-laws getting together, talking about family, family issues, family stuff. And Kimmy says that Maurice has still not made it clear to her on what the game plan is as far as the parenting schedule when Kiowa comes in. So it seems like Maurice is still stuck on, even though Kiowa's going to be in town, Monster will be still with us 100% of the time. And of course, he'll visit his mom, but he's going to be living with me primarily. And so my whole question is this, as a viewer, what was the point of Kiowa coming into town and you buying her a whole house if Monster will be living with you 100% of the time and just visiting his mom? Because it seems like he might see his mother more if she stayed wherever she was at, and he got to see her, let's say, one weekend out of the month, and then he gets to spend Christmas with her every other year, or Thanksgiving with her every other year, and he gets to spend the summer with her. That seems like he would spend more time. I don't know. So maybe when Kiowa comes into town, Monster will see his mother every day, and then come back home to Maurice. I'm thinking that's how it's going to be. So if that's how it is, where he can still see his mom every day, I'm not sure, but Maurice hasn't made that clear. So I guess that's why Kimmy's confused, because Kimmy is still trying to figure out, what's going to happen when Kiowa comes into town. Is Monster going to be with us 50-50? Is it going to be with Kiowa just on the weekends and us Monday through Friday? And we'll see how that plays out. But it seems like Maurice wants his son with him 7 days a week, and he'll just visit his mom whenever. And Kimmy made a good point. She said that, Monster misses his mom. He really misses his mother. He misses his mother's cooking, being around his mom. This boy grew up with her. And then all of a sudden, he shipped off to his dad, which is a good thing. But it all kind of seems sudden, especially because they were living so far away. It's like you grew up with your mom your whole entire life, and then all of a sudden you're with your dad and you rarely see your mom. And I don't know if Maurice is taking the time to see it from Monster's point of view. And I understand Maurice saying that, he's becoming a teenager now and I need to have more of an influence on him. And yes, in that case, it's good that, Kyle was going to be coming down to Huntsville where he can still see his mom. Hopefully he can see her every single day, but live with his dad. That'd be great. It'd be a win-win for everybody. Monster and his mom can keep the relationship. Maurice can still be the main influence of his life or whatever. I don't know. And then Kimmy said, I don't understand. She made another good point. She said, Maurice has this thing in his head that he has to be the one to be the primary parent now in Monster's life, because he's a man and Monster's a boy, and he really needs that male influence, to make it in this world. And Kimmy's like, I raised my son alone, and my son turned out great. Well, he probably did, and I can see that he did, but maybe Maurice sees something lacking, that he feels like he really needs to take control of his own son. I don't know, but Maurice is a little bit chauvinistic with this, but we'll see. So then we move on to Tisha. So she has her first live Mommy Business, that's what it's called, Mommy Business podcast, and she has an audience, she has a panel. She invited Melody, she invited Destiny, even though these two women, she kind of had issues with them. She did go ahead and invite them to the podcast. And so they're all on the panel. Tisha, her husband, Marcel, LaDerek, Kimmy, and Maurice are up there on the panel. And the question comes up of, is infidelity a deal breaker? And Maurice, Kimmy's husband, said, well, it can be. I forgot how he expounded on that, but he said, yeah, it can be. So not necessarily so, but yeah, it's a possibility. And then in the confessional with him and his wife, he said that, well, look at Melody and Martell. They survived infidelity. They went through it, but they're still together. So in that situation, it was not a deal breaker for them. And Kimmy says, well, I'm not Melody. So I guess to Kimmy, infidelity is definitely a deal breaker. She will be gone if Maurice ever cheated on her. LaDerek says it just all depends if it's a deal breaker or not. And he gave the example of, well, if my wife cheats on me with one of my homeboys or someone that I know that I'm close with, it's going to be a problem, because I have to be around these people, and it's going to be embarrassing to be around people who your wife has been sleeping with. So in that situation, it's a deal breaker. But I guess in a situation, if she cheated with someone that he didn't know, maybe then he feels like he could work through it. I don't know. And then we move on to Marcel. So Marcel, Tisha's husband, Tisha, the lady who's hosting this whole marriage podcast, Marcel says, well, as long as you don't tell me about it. Okay, so in Melody's confessional after that, she was giving her thoughts on that, and she said that he's just setting himself up for whenever it comes out, whenever his transgressions come out in public, he's got his answer already there, which is basically, cheating is not a deal breaker as long as you just don't let your spouse know. You keep it on the lowdown, then it's fine, I guess. So I've always felt like Marcel has been unfaithful to Tisha at some point. Maybe he hasn't been cheating on her within the constructs of this show, but I think at some point in their marriage, he was unfaithful to her. Now, I totally believe that Marcel loves Tisha, loves his children, loves Tisha, would do anything for them. But I don't think he's excited about Tisha. I don't think that passion is there anymore with Tisha. I really don't think so. And last season, whenever there were scenes with him and Tisha, it was just, Marcel just seemed disinterested in the marriage. And then whenever the discussion will go to the possibility of him cheating, has he ever cheated? Would he ever cheat on Tisha? His answers were very lackluster. So there was a time last season when Martell and Melody were going hard on Tisha and Marcel, and indicating or implying that maybe Marcel was cheating on Tisha or had cheated on Tisha. And Marcel's response was always sort of like not what you would expect. He would always say something like, well, if that's what you believe, then that's what you believe. I can't change your mind if that's what you think of me. And you would expect him to be like, I would never cheat on my wife. I love my wife. And you wonder, why is he responding that way? Is he responding that way because he thinks in his head that if he comes hard and defends himself real strongly, like, I would never cheat on Tisha, that it would make him look guilty? Like, that Shakespeare saying the lady does protest too much, the gentleman does protest too much. Like when you really go hard in defending yourself, it kind of makes you look even more guilty, because it's like, why, if you didn't do it, relax. And so is he trying to take that approach of, I'm just chilling over here, I'm not cheating on my wife, but hey, if that's what you think, then that's what you think. I can't change your mind. Is that how he's approaching it, that whole situation? And Tisha just didn't like that. Tisha wanted him, and she even told him that she wanted him to defend himself even more, and he just wasn't going to do it. He's like, they're not going to make me go out of character with their false allegations. I'm not going to go crazy on them and respond all crazy and wild and passionate about whether or not I'm cheating on you. He's like, the only thing that matters is I know I'm not, and you know I'm not. So that's all that matters. But Tisha wanted more of a defense from him, and he just wasn't going to give it. So not only that, but there's something about them that made me feel like, and I also think that Tisha knows that Marcel has been, possibly has been unfaithful to her. I think Tisha knows. And I think that's why Tisha she always seems like she's on the verge of tears. And I think that's why she went so hard against Mel, because looking at Mel and Martel's marriage, I think for her, it was kind of like looking in the mirror. And the only thing is, Marcel's transgressions were not made public. Martel's were. So I have a feeling that Tisha either knows or she suspects. She has seen some things, and it scares her. It really scares her. And I think and that could also be a reason why she's trying so hard to do her own thing, make her own money, pursue her own passions and her own businesses, because maybe she feels like, when the bottom falls out from under us, I have somewhere to land. Can still go on and be fine, and I won't be so dependent on Marcel. So that's what I think. I think Marcel possibly has been unfaithful to Tisha, and I think Tisha kind of knows it, and I think everybody kind of knows it. So moving on. Okay, so after the event, when the event is over, Tisha comes out to the audience, and she thanks Mel and Destiny for coming. And Mel says that she brought her a gift. And so when Tisha opened up the bag, it was an actual olive branch. Like she was literally extending the olive branch to Tisha. And Tisha, she said she liked it, but her facial expression didn't seem like she cared too much for it. Like maybe she thought it was a real gift. I don't know. Maybe I'm making too much of it. But she appreciated it. It was good. And then there's a scene with Mel and Kimmy. They're having a discussion. They're talking. And then Miss Wanda approaches them. And I guess Miss Wanda didn't like to see Kimmy talking to Mel. So Miss Wanda walks up to them, and, she's like, she says something to Kimmy, like, I forgot what she said to Kimmy, but she said something to Kimmy that was off the wall. And, Kimmy was like, well, let me go ahead and remove myself before I get really upset with her. So Kimmy leaves, and now it's Miss Wanda and Mel. And so Miss Wanda was like, I heard that you kicked my daughter out of your event, but here you are at her event. So what's up with that, Melody? And so Mel says, well, the difference is that she was uninvited to my event, and she actually invited me to her event. And then Mel says something like, and then Miss Wanda didn't like that answer. She's like, if you're gonna kick her out of your event, you shouldn't even be anywhere near her events. And Mel was like, well, when you have an event, you do have the option of not inviting me, and I won't come to your event. And so they're kind of going back and forth with that. And Mel handled herself very well. She handled herself very well, because Miss Wanda was out of pocket. Miss Wanda was wrong for approaching Mel like this and getting involved in her and Tisha's problems. But the reason why Miss Wanda, in my opinion, gets involved with Tisha's issues Tisha's issues with Melody is because Tisha wants that. Tisha has no backbone. Tisha cannot really go toe-to-toe with Mel, but Miss Wanda can, because Miss Wanda is coming from, I'm going to protect my child, and that kind of fire will make you do whatever for your kids, and you don't really care who you're up against. So Melody was telling Miss Wanda, I respect you as a mother. I have a mother. And I don't want this to get ugly. I don't want this to get out of pocket. I want us to keep that respect that we have for each other. And so I'm going to, respectfully remove myself from this conversation. And so as she's walking away, Miss Wanda's, her mouth is still going. It's still yapping. So moving on from that, later on, Tisha and Kimmy meet up. And Tisha basically wants to know, where does Kimmy stand with this whole Holtz versus Scott situation. And the conclusion is that Kimmy is going to do what Kimmy wants to do. Kimmy is not going to blindly throw her loyalty to one side or the other. Tisha wants Kimmy to throw her loyalty blindly to her and tells Kimmy, we're family. So we should always stick up for each other, no matter what. Whether I'm wrong, whether I'm right, you always need to have my back. And she brings up the example of the reunion. And she said last year's reunion, I had me and Melody and Martell, we were going at it. They were throwing all kinds of jabs at me. And I'm sitting up there with 4 other Scotts, and none of y'all had my back. We know Marcel, he acts like he don't really care. And Martell tried a little bit, but not hard enough. And Kimmy kind of was like, I felt like Kimmy was more on Melody's side at that reunion than she was on Tisha's side, because I kind of feel like there are because their main thing at that reunion, their whole thing was implying and indicating that Marcel was unfaithful to Tisha. And I feel like Maurice probably thinks that too. Probably knows that Marcel has been unfaithful and has told Kimmy of what he knows or what he's seen. And that's why Kimmy can't go that hard with defending Tisha, because Tisha is attacking Mel's marriage. And Kimmy is probably thinking, well, your marriage isn't that squeaky clean, so I'm not going to help you look like a hypocrite. So I'm just going to, stay out of it completely. I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to get in between y'all. I'm not on Mel's side. I'm not on yours. I'm just going to be on Kimmy's side. And Kimmy just really is not having that. So she really questions Kimmy's loyalty. And she's like, you need to have my back regardless. And Kimmy's like, I'll have your back when it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, if it's something that I can really stand up for, no problem. But if it's something, because her whole thing was, Kimmy said, I don't know if Marcel has cheated on you or not. And I mean, the look on Tisha's face when Kimmy said that. Kimmy said, I don't know. I can't sit up there and defend your marriage or defend your husband against these cheating allegations that the Holtz were throwing out. And I cannot get up there and say, no, he is not cheating. No, he did not do that. I don't know whether he did or he didn't. And she does this whole blanket thing of, I'm not with him, 24 hours a day or whatever. So I don't know if your husband's being faithful to you or not. So I can't get up there and defend it like that. And Kimmy and Tisha was like, she was hurt. She was really, really hurt when Kimmy said that, because Tisha needs the reassurance that her husband probably is not cheating on her. Or she needs everybody to get together and make it look like as if Marcel is not cheating on her, because she's attacking Mel and her marriage. And you can't attack someone for doing something that you're doing, for going through something that you're going through, because she's going to look like a damn hypocrite and people are going to come for her. And she was the one that went the hardest. Her, and not even her husband, not even Marcel. Tisha went so hard against Mel and Martell and the whole infidel. She's the one that threw the most stones at their glass house than anybody else. Kimmy kept it respectful. She was like, I'm not going to get involved. Kimmy kept it respectful. Marcel, he never really came hard in defending himself. He didn't want to go too hard with throwing stones at the Holtz either. Maybe because he knew what he's been doing. He doesn't want to look like a hypocrite later. He doesn't know when his side piece or side pieces are going to come out and talk. So he kind of kept it low. He's like, I'm not going to go out and attack him like that. He did do that whole police report thing, and probably because his wife really pushed him to. But he did that whole police report thing against Martell, saying he felt threatened or whatever. But I don't know, just something about Tisha that makes me think that she's trying really hard to keep her stuff together, but it's maybe slowly unraveling because I don't know. Tisha is just not that strong of a woman. I don't know if you see someone's marriage coming apart or you're seeing someone going through some stuff, just either support or stand back. Don't make it even harder for them. Don't make it even worse for them. Just either support or stand back. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for joining me, and hopefully you'll come back next time for my next review of Love and Marriage Huntsville.